Hello, and welcome to Budget Commander. On this channel, we'll discuss Magic the Gathering topics with a focus on playing Commander on a budget. We'll cover things like deck building, top cards, deck techs, and more. Let's get started. Hot dog! Hello, friends. Today we're going to be talking about the Brawl format and some announcements that came out last week. There was an article written by Gavin talking about changes for Brawl. Initially, Brawl was released as an idea in March of 2018, and it was kind of just for players to have two things. One, a place for them to play their cards that they collected from draft that they weren't using for standard, and then two, kind of like a bridge to get into the Commander format possibly. So, Brawl is just like Commander. There's a couple differences. One, you have a lower starting life total. Two, you can use Planeswalkers for your general. And then three, you can only use cards from currently standard legal sets. So, smaller card pool. The idea was to give players a place to bridge into Commander without having to know the thousands and thousands of cards that come with an Eternal format. Okay, so there's a picture of Gavin. I really am a big fan of his stuff. He's part of play design and development, and there's some of the sets that I enjoyed that he was a big part of. There's some pictures of current Brawl generals. So anyhow, that's Gavin and what he's got. He seems to be about all things fun. So I assume if they came out with another Plane Chase set or more Arch Enemy or things like that, he would be a part of those as well. So anyhow, I like his stuff. So hopefully this Brawl stuff is going to be good. He talked about some challenges at the start of the article. The first one being Brawl, Chief of Compliance. He caused some frustrations for a lot of players in the Brawl format, so they ended up having to ban him. And he talked about how they took a little bit too long. And then secondly, he talked about how they brought Melissa DeTora, there's a picture of her there, along to be a part of the design for making Brawl decks or pre-constructed decks for Brawl. Melissa DeTora is another part of play design, play testing. And interesting fact, she's the first female to top 8 a Pro Tour. I think that was back during the Return to Ravnica set. So, yeah. Everything that I know that she's a part of also seems to do really well. I've heard that Standard has been a lot healthier since she was brought on board. So, I like the things that her and Gavin are a part of. So far, so good. He talked about some of the more challenges in that sets take a long time to prep for. He said War of the Spark was released in, May of 2019, and they started work on it in June of 2016. So almost 3 years of work to get that set completely where it is. And they're able to bring us these pre-constructed sets, or pre-constructed Brawl decks, with the Throne of Eldraine set that's coming out in October. October 4th, I believe, is the release date for the Throne of Eldraine. And that's just about a year and a half after they released the idea for Brawl. So, he said there was a lot of good things coming with Throne of Eldraine. Firstly, being that there's going to be a lot of legendaries. So, for Brawl or for Commander, that's good because it just gives more players more options to be creative, and I always like seeing new decks and new generals and mixing up the play environment. So that's cool. He said they built Throne of Eldraine with Brawl in mind, or they developed the standard with Brawl in mind, which is kind of a red flag for me. Standard is kind of like the format. That's what keeps Magic healthy. I don't play Standard, I play Commander, but if Standard is thriving, then Wizards of the Coast is thriving. So that could be a bad thing if Standard doesn't do well and Brawl is doing well. Or, yeah, if Standard's doing well and if Standard's not doing well and Brawl is doing well, your game is probably not doing as well. So anyhow, With these pre-constructed sets, they're going to have four of them, 4 decks, just like the Commander pre-constructed decks. And across all 4 decks, there's going to be 20 unique cards. And one thing that's good is that they didn't design any of them to be tier 1 standard power level cards. So they're kind of more designed for casual. But with the development of new cards for the format, there's always the potential that you could mess it up and have people just buying these off the shelf just for a single card that's unique to that and doesn't come out in the booster packs. So that's kind of a danger. They did give us a couple spoilers. The first one being Arcane Signet, super powerful, 2 CMC mana rock that can add any color of your commander's color identity. So they did a good job of designing that so that it won't impact standard because there aren't any commanders in that. That's really cool, and I like it because it's gonna lower the price of the other cards. So if I wanted to use Gruul Signet and other people are using Gruul Signet, they might switch that out and put Arcane Signet in because it's just a smidge better, which means now there's more Gruul Signets on the market for me to be able to get. Another spoiler was this Chulane, Teller of Tales. He's going to be the general for one of the pre-constructed decks. Just like the Commander decks, the Brawl decks will have unique generals. There'll only be 1 per deck, but the general is quite powerful. This guy's a 2/4 human druid, costs 2 colorless, and then Bant, green, white, blue. He's got vigilance, and then anytime a creature enters the battlefield, or whenever you cast a creature, you get to draw a card, and then you get to put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. So basically, cast a creature, and then you get to explore. He also comes with a triggered ability, pay 3 and tap, and you can return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So I see him kind of as like a better version of Rune of the Hidden Realm. I actually went and checked the price of Rune of the Hidden Realm, which is he's a enter the battlefield commander general. And he also costs 5. He's a 4/4, but he bounce or flickers or blinks. He flickers creatures. So, they leave the battlefield and they enter then again at the end of the turn. So you're getting lots of enter the battlefield triggers. Anyhow, he seems like a better version because he's going to be able to protect himself, and you're just going to be getting so many draws and ramping so well off of him. So super powerful. People are going to be picking up these Brawl decks to use the generals for Commander. So that's cool. More options, so that's also good. Let's see, what's next? We got another announcement, not related to if they should make the decks, but they did announce that Brawl is going to be coming to Arena. You'll only be able to play 1 versus 1, so that's kind of a downside, but I think it's just harder to program so that you can have multiplayer. And then they did also announce that there'll be lots of local game stores in late October hosting a Brawl event. And if you attend that event, you'll get some kind of a cosmetic reward for being present at the event inside your Arena account. Side note, I hope they add Arena at some point to Macs. You can only currently play it for Microsoft PCs and things. I got a Mac and I can't download Arena because of it. So hopefully they develop that. But they did say that in an announcement, like, oh, the player base is so small, like 1 or 2% or something. So for now, I just won't be able to play Arena, which is kind of a sad thing. On a positive note, them bringing Brawl to Arena means that there's potential for them to be bringing Commander at some point. It is not too different. The main difference would be backtracking cards from way back in the past. So maybe they don't do that. Maybe they just have from when Arena was released forward. But that's probably a long ways down the road. So we'll see. One thing that they didn't have in the article was a price because Wizards of the Coast is no longer putting MSRPs on decks. I went on to MTG Goldfish and just looked at the top 5 decks. and they ranged from $24 all the way up to $101 if you just bought the deck off the price that they had on their website, which I think uses TCG Player, but I'm not 100% sure. Average price for a deck is $70. I mean, they're not going to have their decks be $70. Nobody would be buying them. Their Commander decks are $40 or $45, I believe. The Challenger decks they have are $25, which are standard legal. Or, sorry, my local game store sells them for $25. Except the current Niv Mizzet one is selling for $45 because people are just buying that up, so they're jacking the price up. Planeswalker decks are $11. I anticipate these to be somewhere between $10 and $15. They did say that the decks are designed so that you have kind of the bare bones for a strategy to move into standard. I'm doubtful of that. Usually standard has, 4 ofs in a lot of your decks, and these are all singletons, so it would be weird if it could do well at Friday Night Magic and play Brawl. Let's see. Oh, my own decks that I use for Commander, I play 2DH, so a format where all the cards are less than $2 except the Commander, which can be up to $5. And most of my decks are between $45 and $60. And, if I wanted to get an average Brawl deck, that's going to run me $70. And also, it's a rotating format, so I'm less of a fan of it for that. But if you want to get into Brawl, go for it. Let's see here. Pros and cons. So, pro, Gavin and Melissa worked on it. All the stuff that they've done has a good track record, so probably going to do well there. I like that there's going to be new cards for Commander, generals, as well as other cards, which is going to lower the prices overall for everything. If people are, playing those cards, that gives me options to play not as strong of cards that they would have maybe played before. And then Gavin did also note in the article that this is going to be a place for them to give us excellent reprints. They didn't give examples of any of them, so I don't really know what that means. But reprints are always good because that also lowers prices. On the negative side, Standard is designed to support it, which seems bad. You should just develop Standard for Standard and let Brawl get shaped how it gets shaped based on that. Increase in price to play Brawl. Now that they're coming out with these pre-constructed decks, if you're going to play Brawl, you're probably going to need to buy them so that you can use Arcane Signet and other cards like it. And then lastly, con, 20 unique cards. This could possibly impact Standard negatively if they print something that players need or want for their Standard tournament decks. My overall opinion is I think it's good. I like it. I love that they're giving us some new cards and new options. I don't like that they're not in the regular packs, but if you're going to make a product specific for Brawl and / Commander, Standard players don't want to pull those in their packs, so this is the right place to print those. So overall, I think it's a good thing. I just would be wary that Standard gets morphed based on the pull or draw from Brawl. Alright guys, that's it for today. What do you guys think? Should Wizards be making Brawl decks, or should they just leave that to the players? Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. You can help support this channel by hitting that subscribe button. This will help keep you up to date on content from Budget Commander. If you liked the video, make sure you like the video. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on this topic. And if you think someone else could benefit from this video, feel free to share. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk with you next time.